Hey.
Welcome to another Monday Night live stream. It's Monday night. It is the time where we talk about Lorcana, all things Lorcana,
Woohoo.
some things Lorcana. Um,
All
so
things Lorcana,
all things. Well, it depends.
always.
It's week by week on the show, but we're uh, we're really excited you're here. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the show, really appreciate you joining us. We talk for about an hour. We're great, wonderful guests every week, and we're really excited. This week we have some more amazing guests, some surprises, maybe a surprise guest near the end. And yeah, so I don't know. How was your week, Aaron?
My week was like Lorcana week or non-Lorcana week.
Both.
Lorcana week I think was great. I was a little unplugged this week. I know Liam's mentioned last week on the stream. My day job, I have my biggest event of the year, and we raised like $1.2 million for my organization this weekend, which was absolutely amazing. So I had a pretty good weekend. Had
That's
a pretty
good.
good weekend.
That was pretty. It's true. It's big. It was Aaron's Super Bowl for the year. So, Lorcana took a back seat to raising money for children in
Yep.
need. So, that was good. Well, anyway, and thanks for the note on the cummerbund there, Sean. So, anyway, big week for us. Big week for Lorcana. We're excited to talk about it. Let's get into it. We've got some amazing guests this week. I'm gonna start by introducing a returning guest to the show. You've seen her on here before. She offers amazing insight on card games. She's the host of the I Rebel podcast covering Lorcana and upcoming Star Wars Unlimited. Jedi Geek Girl, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor. I had a blast last time, and when the opportunity arose to be back on, I jumped at it. So
uh, you're one of those who, anytime you have a topic you want to talk about, you're welcome to come on to provide insight to viewers because it's always a pleasure talking with you. So,
Totally agree. Totally agree.
we welcome our next guest for this show. It's a content creator you love. It's Joe, the talent behind Googly Glimmers.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk nonsense for a little while.
I love it. I love it. Congrats on your card reveal this week. We enjoyed your
Thank
googly-eyed
you.
Bug. Um,
Yep,
that was such a treat.
they did
So
pick a perfect one for it.
I
that's true.
I will say, yeah, I feel like Ravensburger did such an amazing job with card reveals and pairing them with the content creators this time around. It was really it was all very thoughtful, I feel like.
Yeah, I
I agree. Yep, it was good.
I failed. I should have had it up so we could show the audience who didn't see it. But if you didn't see it, go look it up because it's a wonderful reveal.
I do
So
not have it handy.
I know maybe when later on I'll try to pull it up to show people. But no, but it was great. Yeah, so this week I'm excited. We're gonna talk a little bit about. I know we all prepared to talk a bit about League Season 3, kind of what we want to see. Kind of continuing off the conversations we've been having about how to welcome new players, how to create constructive environments around Lorcana to get people into the game. Um, so I'm excited to talk about that. I know you all have thoughts, a lot of thoughts. Um, but before we get into that, we want to do kind of a new segment where we're kind of going to do this, not every week because we rely on you all to help us with this. But we're going to start this week by highlighting an LGS who we kind of fell in love with over this week. One of our um, viewers told us about this game store that they love, and we went and checked it out. By the way, anytime your viewers like rave about a game store, you should go check it out and see what they're all about and connect with them because they're obviously doing something right. So we went and took a look at this game store, Sad Dog Games. We loved what they were doing. And we were excited to talk to the owner, Shane, and invited her on the stream tonight. And so for the first segment here, we're going to talk with Shane about your store. Shane,
Hi.
welcome.
Hey,
Hi,
Shane.
thanks for the invitation.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. I, we're going to show pictures of your store in a second, but one of the
Okay.
things that inspires me is people are raving about your store, and you're less than a year old, around a year old.
Yes. Yes, we opened last January to the public. We have just a small shop. We might be right around 1,100 square feet. We're in a shopping strip. We are in a small town, so that's kind of a somewhat of a disadvantage. The pool is a little shallower, so pickings, you really got to do something right to stand out, I hope.
You say the pool is a little shallower, like in small towns, and that's probably true. Except, one thing I would offer is that in small towns, there aren't often many places that serve as community hubs and places where people can
Yeah.
go to entertain themselves and hang out. So, in my mind, LGSs in small towns sometimes are more important than LGSs in large cities because they serve that important function.
I could definitely agree. That was kind of the push for me personally was I have children, I have teenagers, and I have a son who plays Magic, one who's learning D&D currently, one who plays Lorcana and Magic, and I just wanted to create a safe, comfortable place where they would be welcome, and then surrounded by people who you know would welcome them at any stage of their ability. So that picture is actually one of our pre-release nights, or I guess not pre-release, but launch nights for Lorcana. We had a pretty good
People are
turnout.
saying exactly what is in my head in the chat, which is I absolutely love your logo. It is.
It's a cute logo for sure.
So the logo is actually Minnie Pearl. She's my dog, or she's one of our dogs. We have 3, but she's the only one portable enough to come to the store with me sometimes. So she's quite a celebrity.
I love that. I love that. I always love game store pets. We have a game store here in town that has 2 cats. At the store all the time.
Don't leave the door open.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, one of the reasons we're talking to you is because your customers love your store. What I don't know, what approach do you take to building community, to hosting game nights, to welcoming new people to the store that makes you such an appealing place for people to hang out and play?
I really don't know. Honestly, I would say probably a little bit of luck, maybe a little bit of being in the right time at the right place type situation. But ultimately, I hope that I've really based my entire business plan on just creating an experience that I would want, to bring my children to. As you can see, this is she pulled that Elsa out of the pack on her starter deck. She is our youngest player. And she's adorable. She gives grown men a run for their money, a little bit because they want to go easy because she's adorable. And then before they know it, she's got 15 and they've got 4, and it's always fun to see who gets put up against her in the first couple rounds because I guess nobody wants to come in and wipe the kid off the board, but also nobody wants to lose to a 7-year-old either. So
hey, I don't mind losing to a 7-year-old. That's no problem.
Yeah, she's great fun though. But yeah, her and her brother come and play. Their dad brings them in. Her brother's about to learn. We have a gentleman who comes in on Thursdays and teaches D&D to youth, ages 17 down to 12. And Zane, her brother, is going to start in that. So that's what I want. I want people who like coming here, and they've tried other stores as well. But and that's fine. But they do keep coming back. So, they're enjoying something here. But I think ultimately it's just creating a place where, there's a big stigma around LGS and game stores in general, and card players sometimes that it's. I've heard many terms, but it's not generally one you would picture a 7-year-old girl in. And I hope that a lot of people enjoy the atmosphere, I guess, is what I really want to create. Because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to stay, and you're definitely not going to come back. So that's the big goal, and I guess that's my secret. Just try to be nice to everybody all the time.
Yeah,
I do know a little bit about Shelbyville where you are, and I know there's 1 or 2 other stores down there. So I
Yeah,
was
we
just
have some.
wondering if there's anything that you do on purpose to differentiate yourself from those other places.
So I'm a little bit familiar with some of the stores in our neighboring towns, particularly some of the smaller towns, Lewisburg, Tullahoma. There is another store similar to me in town. They do Magic. They do Lorcana. I think they still do Pokemon. But they have a good following as well. I think it's just kind of comes down to the atmosphere a little bit, and it's just preferential. I mean, I have players that play games at both my store and their store, and then I have players who only come to my store, and I have shoppers who only play at their store. So it's kind of like I said, it just kind of comes down to that creating an environment that people want to be in. And now that there's a choice, for people, I think it's kind of opened up some opportunities for people that maybe they thought, well, I'm not doing that. I don't want to sit in there. I don't, I don't. That's not who I want to be around, type thing. And then they give it a shot here for one reason or another. Come with a friend or walk in or actively seek us out and find out that they do enjoy it. Because like I said, if somebody's not comfortable, they're not going to commit to it, or shouldn't have to commit to it if they're not comfortable, I should say.
It's awesome. I'm really glad that you're finding that there's space for the two different, or not necessarily different,
Oh
but
yeah.
the two audiences and two different
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, because there's absolutely players, and this is totally, their option and opportunity. People don't want to play with a crowd that contains a 7-year-old child, and that's completely fine. Due to language or whatever, and an adult can adult all they want. But I kind of strive to be more of a family friendly place, and if it's two adults that come in, that's fine too. You can your family's who you make it, and I'm really fortunate that I've got some good groups, I think, that have really helped me learn what I need to do, what's needed from me, and then what basically I have no problem. Like, what do you guys want? Like, we have
Yeah.
drinks and snacks, there's candy bowls on the table. It's just little things that
Oh, I'm sold.
kind of, like, people aren't
Yeah,
coming here for
right.
the candy, I hope. But it's
Should maybe
just
they?
Doesn't hurt.
that yeah, sure doesn't hurt. And it's just that comfort thing. Like, you feel comfortable here. You can get up and get a drink. It's not I don't fun fact, I don't charge for the snacks, but like you guys knew from earlier, I'm very active in scouting, and I'm a Cub Master for a Cub Scout group, and we just have a donation jar. And because I don't charge the players like for D&D and things like that, um, the snacks are there. I don't want anybody sitting here being hungry. So by all means, get a snack, and if you're inclined, put a donation in. But all the donations go to the Cub Scouts. We've gone to basketball games and camping and things like that based on just things that people have donated here through the store.
Wow, that's really great
I
too.
love that so much. I will say one thing you said about the different game stores and different communities and stuff. That is one of the things I found about when you have choice in a community. Like it is great because as you said, different atmospheres resonate with different people. And even in our city, we have quite a few game stores. Austin is a big place, and we visit all of them, and we support all of them. We love every single one. But if given our druthers, on a particular Saturday, there's certain ones that we like to go to over others, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the store per se. It's just that's where we feel at home, just some intangible aspect to it. So yeah, so it's great that you're providing a venue for people in your community like that. So that's awesome.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Wow, no, I'm super excited to talk to you. One thing I do want to say, oh wait, two more things. One, we were looking through a page and we came across this picture, and we love it.
Yes.
Because we love Kendall Hale. We actually sent him a picture and said, hey, look at this. And Kendall said, quote, "Oh man, that's so cool. Look at people framing my art like that. It gives me the warm fuzzies. I love the purple background too. It makes the yellow pop. That's awesome." So, Kendall Hale, the artist behind the Dwarves, big
Awesome.
fan of your art there.
Awesome.
So we thought that was
Yeah.
fun.
I'm a completist, and I was like, that's an easy set. Like I have I didn't go so hard on foils, but for myself, I wanted a complete set of both of the releases so far. And I love taking I'm a completist. I guess that's really it, is the best way to put it. So I was like, if I can just put those together, then I'm content. Like, I have the 7 dwarfs, and it just makes me like baby steps into getting the entire collection. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's hanging back here in the store, back where everybody plays. So,
Well, I love it, and Kendall Hale loves it.
well, awesome.
So
That's great. That's cool.
the last thing is, because I know you have to go, you have business things to do.
Yeah,
We
sorry.
appreciate you building a constructive space for the Lorcana community. We're going to send you a couple playmats from the channel.
Oh,
We have one of our
awesome.
adventure mice, and then we have another one. Love for you to give them to players as participation awards
For
or
sure.
raffle them off or whatever. But we want to help you build
I'm
the
gonna have to
community
swing by to
as
try
much
to
as
win
you
that.
can.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
So whatever you want to do with them, but we want to help you support your community. So
Well, thank you.
gift from us to kind of help out. But we appreciate what you're doing for Lorcana and for gaming in general. So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks so much. Any other
Yeah, well, no, thank
last question on the way out the door?
Sure.
What are you gonna do for Lorcana season 3? How are you gonna tackle that?
So honestly, what we've been doing is working. We have a big launch party. I partner with another small business in town, Sir Pizza, here in Shelbyville. The owners are phenomenal. They're very community oriented, as am I. So they're more than happy to help us out. We have been doing a kind of like your buy-in, get you a starter deck, a gift from me, which is typically a pack or two, depending on on availability, I guess I should say. And then we have dinner. So we have dinner. Everybody opens their stuff. Everybody gets excited, trades, does the card things, and then we'll play 3 rounds and kind of go from there. But it's usually the kickoff to that quarter as far as our points. And we have more that attend those events because it is an opportunity that I let the league players. As we all know, it's no secret, things are scarce when it comes to product in Lorcana. So I feel like those that have, been riding it out through thick and thin, when I have packs to give away for prizes, they're here. And when I don't, they're here too. So it's kind of an opportunity for those players to, if I've only got 5 troves, like, hey, we're going to raffle off an opportunity to buy a trove. Free raffle, just put your name in a thing. If I call your name, you can either buy it or refuse it, so that's what we kind of do there to be a little special, a little perk, I guess I should say. But that's my plan so far with this one is we'll keep doing it that way. I mean, it's fun. People look forward to it, I think. And the second one was significantly larger than the first, so I'm hoping the trend follows for the third. And if it's my same, 12, 15 people, like that's fine too.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I hope it goes well. We can't wait to see pictures on your Facebook page.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And maybe Joe, you can swing by and
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, we'll get you in a
For sure.
picture.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much, Shane. I appreciate everything.
no problem.
Yeah, hope you have a great week.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was fun. I know there's like hundreds of game stores across America, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and every single one, like, to us, is just a name on a map or whatever. But to certain people, each one of those game stores is like a special place, and so to get to find them and like highlight them and talk about them is a lot of fun.
It's pretty crazy that the first one you decided to highlight is just like down my street. Like
Yeah,
a 30-minute drive from me.
You should go check. Now I have a good reason to go check them out.
I do.
So if you're watching this and you have a game store that you love, that you think is doing everything right and you want to highlight, let us know. Send us an email, pop in our Discord, drop a comment and tell us why they're special and maybe we can do something with them as well. So it's great. So I do want to talk about kind of springboarding off that last question to Shane. I want to talk about Lorcana season 3, but I want to do it. I want to caveat. Is that the right use of the word caveat? I want to preface this. Both caveat with this with a preface. And that is, I know a lot of us saw, or there were some, documents that were sent out this week and circulated a bit that talked about Lorcana season 3 and a whole bunch of information in it. And we don't want to get into, I think, a lot of the spoiler details because like the cards and stuff, because, for us having gotten to reveal having gotten to reveal like a card, I know how special that is for people to do. And on the off chance that there are artists and content creators who may have the opportunity to spoil some of those cards, we want to kind of leave those alone and let them be surprises and stuff. So we're not going to talk about, the cards that are going to be spoiled. One thing I do think is fair to talk about is the structure of the league and ways that we think it could run and maybe should run, and things that game stores can do to promote the community. I think that's a fair conversation, and we'll also acknowledge that the league rules that came out mirrored season 2 exactly, or very, very, very close. But we also want to say that because these are draft, those might not be final, which is one of the reasons I'm not showing them, and we're not going to we're not going to talk about them as if they're the final thing from Ravensburger, because we know they could be making changes behind the scenes. They could be making adjustments. And so we'll acknowledge that as of, recently, the plan was to keep League very similar, although they may change it in the future. And with that in mind, let's talk about Lorcana Season 3.
Are we good to talk about prizes that are not cards? How do you feel about that? That okay?
I think that's okay. Prizes that are not
Okay.
cards, I think that's okay.
Good, because I definitely have thoughts on that.
Because I think
we can get there.
Well, it bleeds into, I think, rewards and how players are rewarded and things like that. So I think that's fair. But I will, Jedi, I'll pitch it over to you first, though. So because I really want to hear your thoughts on this. You had a lot to say, earlier about how to create welcoming environments and stuff. So, going into season 3, how are you hoping that stores approach, league play?
That is a very challenging question, I think, because there's a lot of layers. Each local store is different. Each local community is different. And one monotone approach doesn't apply to every store or every location or every community. So it's a very difficult question, because what may work for my store may not work for your store. I have my preference, but they might be different than your preference. So to answer that, it's just, there's so many different factors that I can sit here and I can tell you, hey, I think this is what worked best, or this is what works for my store, but it's not an easy thing. That being said, I can definitely get into what my stores do locally, and or what I think is the best approach for League if you want. But before we do that, I do want to acknowledge Benjamin's earlier comment, who shout out Source Comics and Games, because that is local to me. I am about an hour away, and I visited there. I went there for Star Wars Destiny, and I know the place well. So I acknowledge you, Benjamin, and I hopefully hope to see you, for some Lorcana event, some Lorcana set championships, or, regionals, wherever that is. And I said I wasn't going to do this, but if you're into Star Wars Unlimited, maybe I'll see you playing some Star Wars Unlimited. So
Order 66, Padawan.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I said it at the beginning, but for those who aren't tracking, Jedi Geek, our host, the iRebel podcast, and it's a great place to go for Star Wars Unlimited content as well as Lorcana. So definitely two passions there. That if you're into both those games, you can get everything right in one podcast. So it's great. I do like what you said, and I think this is something that we've said before, which is or that was said last week on the podcast, which is that every community is different, and they should be, game stores should think about tailoring their league to what their community wants. There's always a danger there, because inevitably somebody's going to be, left out. But I guess however you structure it, it's that way. And that's one thing that Lorcana has done well, I think, is even in the league instructions, they've said, that stores can feel free to, adjust league rules as suits their, need or whatever. I ran out of space. Yeah.
So I do think that one of the things that I think they could do that could be universally agreed upon is increasing the amount of items in the kit, and or sending more kits to stores, because I am hearing a lot of stores that aren't having enough to hand out, at the very least basic promo cards. And now we're getting into my subjective opinion. You see a lot of stores handling a lot of the items with reward based qualification in order to get such items. I can understand that, especially without us having a weekly play program like Magic the Gathering has, where you can have that like competitive structure. But if you want to have a more laid back experience and more experimentation and welcoming experience, you need to reduce. I'm not saying you can't, have some items be reward based, but pull that back a little bit, because it is so very easy for people to get discouraged when they're going to a league and they're playing people who are just there to play test. And I've been doing TCGs for a long time, and I will tell you that people do play test at league, even though it might not be a lot. It happened. It happened during my days of Pokemon. That is where I play test and stuff like that. And it was more laid back experience. But one of the ways you can alleviate that is I love the structure of like Swiss for League, but sometimes some people just want to sit back and just play who they want, so they can like avoid those situations, and vice versa. The people who want to play test with a stronger deck can do so. But again, we're getting back into subjectivity, and not every store or community can do that or want that. But it's just, again, there's just so many layers that we can sit here and we can have the conversation all night long. And I think of, the three of us here and all the people, we're all going to have a different answer and a different approach. And, we might agree on some things, but not everything.
Yeah.
I think the real danger with saying to a store, tailor this to your community, is that they're always gonna target the community they already have, which is not necessarily the community that is more widely represented in the Lorcana audience, because they've never had a Lorcana audience before, so they don't know all of the people that might want to come play Lorcana in one way. That's not the people who also play Magic that are already coming to the store. Do you see what I'm saying?
You're absolutely
100%.
right. I know with my store, the guy has been doing Magic the Gathering for 15 years. And
Right.
how he has approached doing Lorcana event is very structured based on his commander event. So there's a lot of similarities there. And his prizing system is fantastic. You earn points like you do at any other league, but you can store those points up, and it's like a ticket wall, so you can redeem those points. So at my local, you can get 10 points per day, and each game you can get up to 5. And then you have a list of accomplishments you can do in a game, as well as some free spaces, like use melee, buy a drink. And then you have negative points to try to reduce like negative play. Like, hey, if you're at 6 ink by turn 3 or whatever it is, for example, to try to reduce the negative play experience. So you can sit there and you can play and you can get your point without having to win. Yeah, you do get a point for win, but I digress. And then you can redeem those points for the items that you want. So if you want a pin, you can just save up your points. If you want the promo cards, you can redeem it and you can pick whatever you want. Yeah, it is first come, first serve, but it takes away the qualification of having to win that night in order to get a pin, or getting lucky in a raffle. Yeah, you have to be consistent in your event, but that's a lot easier for somebody who isn't as competitive than going 3-0.
Yeah.
I think that was something that they did at I don't know exactly which tournament, but for Flesh and Blood, there was a recent big tournament, and they could earn points through play at the event, and then they had a massive prize wall that had like uncut card sheets and play mats and all kinds of cool stuff. I would hit my microphone. I would love to see something like that. But I think to support that, you need way more prizing sent to stores. 2016? I don't even know. 20 pins, I think, total. Not enough.
Yeah. That seems to be a common refrain. And I'm not sure how much they've increased from set to set either in the kits, but you have to think, if the Lorcana community is growing, that you need to think about that. as you
A
structure
single
prizes.
kit has not changed at all, except for the new prize in the new one, the sleeves. Other than that, it's been exactly the same for one
That's
kit.
interesting.
I don't know if they've changed how many you can order, but
Yeah.
I did consider putting googly eyes on my glasses before we start, but then I didn't want to have to either have them on the whole time or take them off and have them be sticky. And I couldn't find any spare glasses. So
It's what we
there
call
you
a
go.
quandary.
Compromised with nothing.
It is fascinating. You know, yeah. So Hobbies and Happiness stating, you know, LGS's goal is to sell product, make money. True. If a product or IP doesn't do that, they won't support the product. Sad truth, but reality. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if your LGS is creating great community, but they go out of business, then you know they're no good for anybody. But this is such a wicked problem, as they say, because Google, you make you know, bring out a great point. You know, clearly we recognize that stores should have some flexibility to meet, you know, their community, and that the one size fits all solution isn't correct. On the other hand, your point is exactly right. Like, part of the goal of Lorcana is to appeal to, you know, a new TCG fan base, you know, Disney players, you know, families who may have never played a card game before. And if we want to welcome them into the TCG space, we have to acknowledge that perhaps the reason they're not there now is because something didn't quite appeal to them. And so how do we do both? I don't know. We're going to figure it out and start a consulting firm and then make a lot of money.
So I think
That'll be good.
the first thing that should be at the top of every store's list, and this is such a common answer that I'm just going to say it anyway, is friendliness, openness, and just, you know, being an inviting atmosphere. You can have the success and the recipe for that all you want, but if you want a friendly if you want a friendly store, if you don't have an open atmosphere, if you are not a friendly individual behind the cashier, you're not going to have success with the league. So I think when you look at it, if you are a store and you want to do a league, that should be the first thing you do is, you know, be friendly, open and welcoming to everybody. And, you know, that way when people come in for these games, they come in with a smile, if you will.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
I agree. There's something when this debate, you know, it started, you know, several weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. You know, Rebecca from Lorcana Luminary, you know, her big point, I think, was, you know, yes, you know, everybody has a role to play, but like the community's role, like our role, the player's role is a huge part of that. So even though Robin's Burger can do things and game stores can do things, like the community is also part of the answer. As you suggested, Jedi Geek Girl, it's, you know, friendliness and a welcoming atmosphere. Yeah, because it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the structure of the night of the event or the afternoon or whatever definitely changes the atmosphere though as well. Like they
True.
feed off of each other. Like if I'm walking in to be there at dead on 5 o'clock and sign in for 3 rounds of Swiss, I feel like I'm a pretty friendly person, but my attitude is going to be different from walking in at 5:25 and strolling in and sitting down with whoever I want. You know, it's just going to be a different attitude. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing I can do about that.
That's true. Jonty brings up another great point too. Like, you know, we say, God, this is so complicated. We say settle for regulars as if, you know, it's a bad thing sometimes. However, the LGS industry is super tough. One of the greatest, I think, like commentators, you know, people love him or people hate him, but if anybody's watched Alpha Investments on YouTube, you know, he follows game stores and gaming or whatever, and occasionally he does these whiteboard videos where he talks about the LGS industry. And his answer, anytime, you know, people ask him, you know, should I start an LGS, his answer is, if you're into business, don't. Like, it is not a moneymaker. You know, they fail more often than they succeed, and it's hard. It's a hard industry. So, you know, I get Jonty's point that, you know, at some point, you know, we have to acknowledge that, you know, the game stores need to survive, and that if they have regulars that they cater to and a community that supports them, at some point, you know, they have to make sure that those regulars are still coming.
Surely a new product launch is the best time to try to grab some new regulars, though, right? Surely.
Absolutely.
Not
because
not
I
a
would say,
business owner.
no. I mean, it's
But-
probably true.
We are sitting here and focusing on Lorcana, but it is also important to remember, and we talked about this in, I think, our previous episode or the episode that is about to go out on Ivy Bell, that yeah, we are focusing on Lorcana, but there's other games in the game space, the TCG space, and there's only so much that a store can take on when it comes to events space, shelf space, and I like to say that we are in the second age of TCG, the second age of the TCG market, and it is you have again, I'm sorry, you have Star Wars Unlimited coming right around the corner, and that is going to require some spaces for some stores. I have the prediction that we have one more big IP game coming. I don't know what it is or when, but I kind of like predict that. But yeah, you have Magic, you have Pokemon, you have Yu-Gi-Oh, you have Lorcana, you have Star Wars Unlimited coming, you have Flesh and Blood, you have One Piece, you have Digimon, and probably some other ones that I do too. But yeah, so I would probably recommend to try to remedy that situation is to, be open to helping the store out. Maybe an employee at the store cannot handle like league or whatever, but volunteers, like, hey, if you're not unable to do that or you have too many events, I will help you. I will, run this event so you don't have to worry about it and help things. You got to take the initiative as well to help out if your store is unable to do so. And it's such a difficult, as you just said earlier, it's such a difficult business, especially with all the things. And I'm sorry, but Magic the Gathering has a lot of priority for stores. My league was postponed this past weekend because of Magic the Gathering, and I don't like it as a Lorcana player, and that was the same back in so it's Destiny. So that just adds more layers to the problem, because not only are you dealing with that space with the other markets and the other games, but you have the stores who have a system that applies one system to multiple games because they have so much on their plates.
Yeah, it's just as a straight time saver.
Cut and paste, and don't have to worry about it. So,
is there an experience aspect to it too for like new stores, let's say, that are less than a year old, or startups where they know how to run it, that's just the way they do it?
I think with a new store, they aren't as locked into their structure when it comes to how they run events, so they're probably more open to experimenting and being more fluid, because they aren't that rigid. You can apply that to any arena, where you do stuff over and over again, and you get into a flow. Where if you try something for the new time, when you try something for the first time, you're maybe more likely to experiment and try new things and different things. Where if you've been doing something for 10 years, you're not going to change because, it worked for 10 years. Why change?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree.
No, it's such a wicked problem. So it's one of the reasons that I do appreciate when, other organizations like, tournament organizers like PPG, for example, step in and provide, events for, a certain segment of players. So, and then fan events are starting too. Like perhaps there's space for more, community run, fan events or things like that. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't think we're gonna solve it.
Yeah.
But we can try.
I think well, I think the ultimate point, and then I want to ask you your thought. You said something about pins earlier that you want to talk about, and maybe you've already said it, but I think part of the purpose of these conversations though is just, we all have our own lenses. We all have our own experiences, and if left to our own devices as humans, we tend to believe that our way of viewing the world and our way of interacting with TCGs in this example is how everybody views them. If you're a player who really wants to win, you can't imagine why somebody else wouldn't want to win every game. So like the purpose kind of these conversations is just to I think the biggest benefit is making everybody realize and reminding people, that everybody is interacting with this game in their own way and wants something different out of it. And even if, you know, our leagues are structured in a way that we prefer, just to make sure that we're finding ways to welcome other people into the space, into the game.
One more thing I would like to add is, if you are a store owner and if you're running Lorcana League, another thing I would recommend is talk to your community and be open to what they have to say, you know, feedback. And don't be afraid to change it up or whatever. Like if a parent comes up with their child and be like, hey, my child's having a hard time, is there something we can do? You know, hear them out, you know, and talk to other members of the community. You don't want to change the event for like one person or two people, but you know, listen to everybody, talk to people. Hey, are you having a fun time? You know, again, creating a friendly atmosphere so they're more likely to come back, because there are a lot of new people coming for the first time to a TCG because of Lorcana, and they might not be open to approach the store owner. And again, that's where being friendly comes in. So you got to talk to your community. You got to check in on them too. It's like anything. If you don't check in on somebody, you're not going to hear from them.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
I think somebody said it last week on the show, but it's the new people who come and find a place that they don't really like. They're not going to ask you to change it. They're just going to leave.
That's true. I think that I think Rebecca was on that as well, saying
it sounds like a Rebecca thing to say.
Yep. You have one chance, you know, to make that first impression, and if you blow it, then that might be a lifelong TCG player that walks out the door and never picks it up again. To everybody commenting that we worked on this last week as well, and you know, 2 hours is plenty of time to solve it. I just want to point out we don't have an open-ended show here. We stick to an hour. We don't have the luxury of streaming until midnight every time there's more previews than we anticipated. So I'm not going to name any names, but we try to keep it tight.
You mean you don't go over 2 hours like we do over at Ivy Bell Gaming?
That's a podcast. It's different.
You can't see
We're
you
cool with
falling
that.
asleep with the mic.
We like that. Yeah. Nobody wants to stare at me for longer than an hour. Yeah. So anyway.
And that's why I use an avatar. And that's why I use an avatar.
It's smart. It's smart. Anyway. Yeah, John T, they're going for 10 minutes reveal and out. So I guess, you know, I will, since we brought it up, you know, I usually plug it at the end of the show, but for those watching before we continue, make sure you check out This Week in Ink coming up half an hour after this show ends. They've got a card reveal tonight. It'll be super exciting. You can be the first people in the world outside of Ravensburger and John T and Brandon to see a Lorcana card, and that'll be pretty cool. Anyway, I don't know how to take this. Thank you, Petunia.
Just take it as a compliment and don't think too hard about it.
I think so. I appreciate it. So anyway, Google, you said something earlier about pins. Do you have thoughts beyond the number?
I said about the prizes that are not
prizes.
Ones. And what I was referring specifically to is the lore counter that I want to give an adjective to that I'm not going to do because this is a family-friendly show.
Okay.
We're getting a lore count. The lore counter is not a good prize to begin with because it's cardboard and it's lame. But they're also giving us one in the Trove this time around. And the one in the Trove looks cooler than the one that is a league prize. Because the one on the Trove looks like the I can't remember its name. The Benedict Cumberbatch. And then the one in the league kit is just beige and blue. And it's really disappointing that they didn't give us something different.
Oh. Surely more prizes is better though, right? I mean, if it's choice between no lure counters in the kit and some lure counters in the kit.
No, I'd rather have nothing.
Okay.
No, I'd rather have it be replaced with something cooler. More pins. That would be fine. Get rid of the lure counter. More pins.
There you go. You know, maybe they can use them. Maybe they're meant to be used as like not necessarily prize support, but like welcome to league you didn't bring a lore counter
No,
because you're new to the
because
game.
the
Here's a
lore
counter.
counters are the only things in the lore in the OP kit where it says these are specifically for the top scoring 8 players. They're the
Oh,
only thing that's not given out randomly. Why? They're so bad.
maybe I'm gonna offer. I like, you know what I like when it comes to like the history of games or history in general. One of the things I like is ephemera, and ephemera is, you know, stuff that for some reason survived that was never supposed to be kept.
Never
And
supposed to last. Yeah.
perhaps these lore counters are going to be used for this league this year, and they're paper, so they get damaged. And like 20 years from now, there's going to be like 3 that survive, and they're going to be so sought after because they're a part of Lorcana history. Because people watch this cast 20 years later, and they're like, I need one of those.
I would really prefer them not to design prizes for the game archaeologists of the future. I want something that's cool now.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
find any way to say that.
You know, if they really wanted to make them cool, they can make them acrylic.
They could, yeah, at least make them acrylic. Come on.
But,
3D print them. 3D print them. These ones are cool.
Since we
That
are
is
getting into things that we would like to see, one of the things, and I'm just going to make it quick, is promo packs. Promo packs would be great. Other games do it, and it keeps people coming. And every pack is a different amount of variants and stuff like that. I don't know if Ravensburger has the technology and ability to do promo packs, but it is a great incentive to, you know, keep people coming because you get a pack every time you come. And you know, that goes back to my early days in Yu-Gi-Oh! I always wanted to go because of the tournament pack, you know, and sometimes you pull 2 World Decrees back-to-back weekends and you're on a high. But yeah, I think that would be great for Lorcana, and you know, that is in another game that shall not be named that is coming that is very exciting. But you know, it keeps people coming because sometimes people get everything that they can get from a league and they don't have any incentive to keep going.
Back when I played Pokemon 15 years ago, something like that, they did not have the promo packs back then, but you would get your little leaflet, and every time you'd get a point, you'd stamp it, and then once you filled up your row, you'd get your league badge, and there was no randomness, nothing. You just filled it up, then you got your badge, you got your pin, and then they had some other, like they had fabric badges and stuff too, patches, which was great.
Oh,
You just work
yeah.
towards it, and you get it. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, I remember. I ran a Pokemon League and I had a bunch
Yeah.
of leftover promos that just sat there for the year and you don't have any use for them or whatever. And promo packs are fairly new in Pokemon, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just give us more pins. That's all it is, really, isn't it?
see
That's fair.
you see in the chat all the positive feedback about promo packs. And if Ravensburger is watching it, we want promo packs, Ravensburger.
That seems to be the common refrain. I was highlighting them,
Promo
and then
packs
I
and pins.
promo packs are great. I like promo packs, and I like somebody else mentioned pre-release kits, which I think are a fantastic product. If I was motivated right now, I would climb over my desk to the dresser back there and pull out some of that I've kept from Magic, which are super cool. But I do think it's like pre-release events. It is fun to have these, you know, kind of exclusive kits, and they could have, frankly, for Lorcana, they could have very similar contents to the starter deck kits, because that's, or you could do like 6-pack sealed or whatever. But in order to make it accessible, you could still do the same thing where you have a starter deck and you have a pack, but put it in something fun and include something, you know, extra in there.
If you put a lore counter in there, I'm going to be upset.
My favorite, I have to tell, my favorite one ever. Like, I was blown away. I don't know why I found this so cool, but the Kaladesh and the Aether Revolt, I think both of them sets in Magic. This was a set in Magic that was like a steampunk, like Indian vibe set, and it had these little paper thopters that you could punch out and you could build, you know, and then it was really cool. I loved it. And it got you, like, it immersed you like immediately, like right in Kaladesh. So when you sat down and you were like, I'm experiencing this new Magic set for the first time, I don't know what this is about, and you immediately get to like build your thopter, and it's like you're there, you know.
That's a much better example of your ephemera that you're talking about.
So
None of
I
them are
will.
going to survive. Exactly. But
So I
nobody
will.
cares about
I
the
will
thing.
see you that pre-release, and I will raise you one even back farther. But there was a Magic the Gathering pre-release I attended for Avion Restored, and for that event, a Hell Vault was shipped out to the stores. It was like this big obelisk thing, and the goal of the pre-release is for everybody at the pre-release to accumulate enough points for that vault to be opened, and then whatever was inside was going to be handed out to other things. But you were just making reference to a Magic the Gathering pre-release, and I just want to throw that back. But pre-releases are great for TCGs. They attract a lot of casual people. I know that Magic the Gathering pre-releases are huge. Pokemon's the same too. There's a lot of turnout, and if you are trying to grow the casual community, I think pre-releases is a great opportunity. And pre-release kits, it might be such a thing that they're not able to make those at these times, but it's definitely something they have to look at because pre-releases do, for every game that I've attended, they have done great business and get a lot of attendance.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also something, it's kind of like a celebration of the set coming out, right? And all the people who you're surrounded by people who are just as excited for you as you about the release of this product. And there's some kind of community building aspect to that I love as well. Yeah. Jaunty with wow. That's fun. That's great. That's great. This is what we need. Things like this.
Hey, I
Community
know
building.
a company that makes puzzles.
Go on.
It's Ravensburger. That's
Oh.
I don't know. Just copy them. I don't know.
Yeah. I need like a Lorcana puzzle like yesterday, so that would be nice to have.
The villainous ones they made are really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
can I-
Lorcana is more likely to get me to spend my money just because I'm into Lorcana and
That's fair.
I will. I suspect that in the near-ish future, we're gonna see additional products like Lorcana branded products sooner rather than later. To tell a quick story, as I'm wont to do. So we went to Lightbox this year, and there were some amazing panels, which I hope Lightbox puts online soon. If you're into Lorcana art, keep an eye on their feeds because they're slowly releasing these different panels. But Ravensburger had 3 days of having concept artists there to do live concept art demonstrations. And Shane Hartley, the creative director, and Matthew Ang, one of the art directors, and several other people were there, and they took questions on this panel, periodically. And somebody, most of them were art questions because these are all artists there, but occasionally you had, a game player who like snuck in to ask questions, random questions about the game. And one person asked, not me, or Aaron, they said, "Hey, when are we going to see a digital client of this game?" And Shane answered, and it was a little cryptic. And he didn't commit to a digital client. I don't think that's what he was saying. But what he did say is he started, talking about, their approach to the game and whatever. And then he said digital client, probably not anytime soon. But then he did say something. He ended the quote by saying, "Let me just say, we view Lorcana as a franchise, not a game." And I thought that was fascinating. I have that recorded somewhere. And I keep thinking about that, and it's stuck in the back of my head. So it means something. And I don't
Getting a
know
Disney
what
Plus
that.
show again.
No, I want Lorcana comics. I want Lorcana
Comics would be
comics
great.
because it's a place to showcase the great art, and you can have like guest artists and stuff like that, and different cover arts and stuff. To me, Lorcana is made for comic books.
Yep. And a lot of game stores are also comic book stores.
Exactly. So you already have a foot in the door.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think so too. And people say it all the time, in different Lorcana spaces, like the first time we see a Disney Plus show, like or a comic or a movie, or I don't know, some sort of Magic Kingdom experience that centers on Lorcana, like
They
we could
just
see a
need to put an
whole-
ad. Just an ad on Disney Plus would just make such a difference to everything.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be that long. 10-second ad. Do it, please.
Just
I
even
want
just
that.
like the banner, just when you open it up and it has the big banner at the top, just make that into the Inklands for
When
2 weeks.
when I watch The Mandalorian season 4 in a couple years, I want a Lorcana trailer to play in front of it.
There you go.
I thought you were going to say something about the Mandalorian visiting the Lorcana Pocket Universe. Mandalorian season 5.
Sitting down to play Lorcana instead of Sabak at the end of the show.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, just introduce Grogu to the game and packs will fly off the shelf.
Right? Yeah. So I do want to make sure we end at a reasonable time so we can all get over to the reveal of Into the Inklands. But to close the show, our last few minutes, I'm really excited to welcome a surprise guest for a few minutes. It's Adam Bunch, friend of the channel, Lorcana artist. And we saw his work in set 2 with Chief Bogo. And then we're super excited to see Sumerian Talisman pop up. And having talked to you, Adam, like before this, like when this card popped up and I saw your name, I got so excited. I'm like, it's an Adam Bunch card. I was super excited to see it. And, this card clearly somehow plays like a key role in the story of this set. And you're here to tell us all that. I'm just kidding.
Everything, all the secrets. No.
So it's good to see you. If anyone has any questions for Adam, ask him in the chat. But I just want to know, well, first, you having experienced the Lorcana fandom a little bit from Chief Bogo when he was released, now we're kind of tapped into it and know what it was all about. What was it like this time having one of your cards revealed and seeing it, appear in Lorcana?
Well, first of all, what was really interesting is they haven't made an official announcement yet that I've noticed. I have not seen on the official Instagram. So it was kind of a surprise when I saw somebody had somehow found a leaked image of it. And fairly high resolution too. So yeah, I mean, it was cool to see. I had a sneaky suspicion it would end up being in this particular set. And fun Easter egg, I noticed the animated like sizzle reel or whatever that they released for the new set. If you watch the first part of it really closely, it doesn't match the card art here, but you will see a version of the Sumerian Talisman being picked up. That is my artwork, just the talisman in that. So that was a surprise.
What? So the card art is different from your art?
There is some art. So the card art is my art.
Okay.
And there is some of my art that you can glimpse in the animated preview for the new set.
Gotcha.
When the talisman is picked up, the talisman render in that animation is my art.
That's so cool. It's that kind of that
is cool.
style, like that. The videos how they're like frame by frame kind of
Animatic.
The Sumerian Talisman, correct me if I'm wrong, but like in this, that's the item that we see like the hand reaching towards, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He picks it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not the same exact version. It's another version, like an earlier one I did.
I love that they just used the assets on hand. That's super cool.
I want to go look and see if it's still cracked in the intro because I can't remember.
It might be.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Probably.
I need to know. I do. I had a question. If I'm allowed to ask about the brief a little bit for the talisman. I don't know how much you're allowed to tell me, but I'm going to ask it, and then you can tell me to go away.
I'll save Adam a little bit here because the briefs are generally like off limits.
Yeah, briefs are okay.
As far as I know, they generally are. I don't want Adam to get in trouble, but
it depends on how general your question is.
Oh, that's fair.
Well, okay, we'll give it a shot, and I don't want you to get in trouble either. So you could just tell me to go away. That's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to know if they gave you like a brief for what it should look like, or if they gave you some of the story to work from and work into it to know kind of what's going on, why it's cracked. You don't have to tell me what it is, just if they told you what's going on.
That's a good question. I mean, typically speaking, when you're working any kind of job with someone like as an artist where they have very specific needs, it's really important in any kind of brief to include as much detail as you can to help with the illustration, like to contextualize it, or to come up with, like, let's say the background in this, So in a very general sense, I can say any brief that I've ever gotten as a freelance artist that is really helpful to me is going to include some of that information.
Okay,
But
cool.
I would say it's probably not important to know everything. I've made the joke before when I've done art for people who like are big D&D players, but they're just having me like draw their character from their campaign. Sometimes I'll say, okay, so give me a description of your character, and they'll give me like their entire family history and lineage, what they're allergic to, and things that are not going to really be important to that illustration I'm doing.
That's
And
definitely
so,
D&D players for you.
yeah, so like the best kind, and I really appreciate all of that lore and everything, but the best kind of brief is literally brief. Just giving you like the bare minimum what you need to get going,
So I have a fun question that is a little bit more laid back. When you are given your brief to do a particular artwork, if it is something that you are not familiar with, does that stimulate you to go watch the source material, or are you just do your artwork and you move on? But basically, have you seen the episodes that Talisman is from? And if you haven't, before doing the artwork, did you go see it, to get an idea of its usage and stuff like that? Or do you like doing stuff, without that type of influence when it comes to your art?
That's a really good question. Actually, that's a great question. More than one part to answering that, actually. So in a lot of ways, it really informs the material more, since like in this case, Sumerian Talisman from DuckTales, I grew up with DuckTales in the early 90s and that version. And so I do vaguely recall the talisman. I don't remember which episode, couldn't tell you. And since, I'm so much older now, it definitely is helpful for me to go back to any kind of source material to kind of refamiliarize myself with it, because it gives you like more of a visual sense of what you're going for, but it also gives you kind of that excitement to like build into like working on that project. So I like to go back and watch the source material, depending on what they're asking me to do. Sometimes I'm not familiar with it, so it really is good to do that. And then in terms of like going off on my own and not being too influenced, it's like a dual purpose. It's important to do both things, really. I think you want to get a taste of the source material again, or for the first time, and then you don't want to be studying it too much. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of have some creative license and get some ideas going. And a lot of things like can't be exactly like taken right out of a show or movie, because that has its own restrictions on it, legally speaking. So it's good for both sides of it, both to be kind of like legally in good standing, but also to just be able to use your imagination and come up with more of a story. So yeah, I would say both things are equally important to me.
Fascinating. That was a great question. I was actually going to ask if you'd seen the DuckTales thing, because I had not seen new DuckTales. So I was like, when Sumerian Talisman came out, I had to go do research. So it was a good question.
I've only seen a little bit of new DuckTales, and so I'm not really familiar with that show.
Yeah, John pointing out, yeah, difficult line to walk, add your own spin, but at the same time, it has to look like that. So how do you make it the talisman and not a talisman, but have your own, your own take on it? And put it in Lorcana's, modern storybook art style as well.
I do have a follow-up question to that. if you are given a brief to do artwork, would you prefer to have a brief over something that is very well known and iconic, or something lesser known and isn't iconic? So, do you prefer the challenge of something that is already established, or do you prefer the approach of putting your spin on something that isn't as well known?
I'm probably taking it away from the Lorcana thing as just in general as a creative. I'm really big on both drawing my own like creations, something that comes completely from me because it doesn't require any preset or pre-established look or characters or world or anything. I can just completely imagine it. But taking that also into a thing like doing fan arts or doing something like Lorcana where it's an established thing, it's nice to kind of combine my more imaginative storytelling that I can do on my own with something that's recognizable and established. Like case in point, the December prompts that I did, I was doing a lot of things based on just random thoughts I had, and a lot of my ideas come from like just the blue sky, just from anywhere. I don't necessarily think, well, it has to be this way. It's kind of like yeah, that's a good example. Like the Mushu Ken, the prompt was just Mushu for that day, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with that? And randomly, it's kind of like a random dice toss in my brain. I go, okay, let's come up with an idea. And I'm like, oh, what if he is dressed like Ken in the Barbie movie? That'll be cool. And it's one of those things that maybe not everybody would think of. A lot of people did Chinese New Year as a theme to go with that because of the dragon. And so there were a few ones where he's riding a firework or things like that. And I'm like, that's a great idea. And what's funny is it's one of those last things that I would think of sometimes are the most obvious ideas, which is not to say anything against the artists that did those. They did brilliantly. And a lot of times I find myself kind of like face palming going, I should have thought of something like that because it's right there. So, and yeah, like Hades, that was like, okay, firefighter. Let's do like the cute kitten with the firefighter, but let's make it Yzma, So it's kind of just like very free association kind of stuff. So going back to your original question, I am most comfortable being able to have a lot of freedom to come up with an idea of my own. But when you're working with a collaborative team, there's a certain amount of restraint you have to show there because you're all working on the same thing to like show to a broader audience. Not every one of my December pieces translates to everybody. They'll look at that and they'll go, oh, cool, but why? And I've literally had that in comment threads show up like, why did you do it this way? Because I wanted to. But when you're working for a company with a team, you can't just do it because you want to. You have to do it because you want to, and then you have to be like, is this cool, you guys?
This is cool as I think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all so good. I could look at them all day.
Mm-hmm.
That Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy one, I missed that one, and that's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. That was fun.
We do have to get wrapped up here shortly because we have to get over to This Week in Ink here in a moment and allow people to take a break and take a deep breath and get ready for the amazing card reveal we're about to see. Adam, if it's one of your cards, like, that'd be amazing. So what are the odds? Yeah. What are the odds?
Staring at Adam, trying to figure out from his body language if he has more cards in his set.
Jonty's I mean, Adam wouldn't know like if it's his or not. But Jonty's over there. Jonty and Brandon are like, oh my God. But
you don't know if it's possible.
Right? Might be. Anyway. So no, this is great. I do want to make sure that everybody watching knows how to follow everybody here. And so Adam, I'll start with you. How can people follow your work?
Best way to follow me, platform I'm most active on is Instagram right now. And so my Instagram is at Adam_is_arting.
Yeah. And I do. One of the reasons that I really wanted to invite you on tonight, and it was kind of a last minute invite, and I appreciate you taking us up on it, is because if you like following Adam's work, you do this, I think, once a month, right?
Yep, I
So
did
not very
second.
often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a live drawing session. So I know everybody's got the on their calendars, like all the reveals coming up. But if you like, following Lorcana artists and their work, I'm excited to tune into this. What can we expect to see that night?
So it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, also known as I haven't figured it out quite yet. But it will involve character design. It might involve some tips. It might be just very informal. Usually that's kind of the format is it's sort of a draw along with me, bring your pads, your tablets, whatever. And you're always welcome to share in the live chat what you're working on or ask me questions, and I will do my best to answer them. Probably not any Lorcana ones, unless they're general.
Fair.
But yeah, I usually will do some kind of a start to finish or start to halfway kind of drawing. But I've been heavy into character design, and I do have a personal project I'm working on, so there might be some of that.
We love personal projects.
Yeah.
Hope to see some of that. Joe, where can people follow you?
I'm real easy to find. Just googly glimmers on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. I even have a Facebook page because I had to make one to auto-publish my Instagram posts. So there's even one of those.
My goodness.
Just googly glimmers, even easy peasy.
I haven't figured that out yet. Auto-publish. I learned something new from you all you amazing people, every time I do something like this.
I get a warning from Instagram every time I do it. It's like, hey, you're cheating. And I'm like, I don't care. And it hasn't blocked me yet. So
I'm the opposite. Like I have my personal, like Facebook page, and then I have my Luteers page. And at some point I thought I could connect my Instagram post to auto-publish on my Luteers page, but I messed it up. And for the longest time, I'm making, these Lorcana posts, and they're popping up on my personal page. And my family's like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? What are you revealing on Thursday? I don't understand this.
What are you doing?
I had to figure that out.
I don't think anybody on my personal Facebook understood what I was talking about when I was like, guys, this really exciting thing happened to me last week. And they were like,
yeah, same. We're in
it's
a
fine.
little bubble, but it was amazing. And Jedi Geeker, what can people tune into your podcast?
Well, if people would like to find me, they can find me everywhere at Jedi Geek Girl. If people would like to check out my content along with my co-host Luke, you can find us mainly over on YouTube by searching Ivy Bell Gaming, Star Wars Unlimited, or Ivy Bell Gaming Lorcana. If you would like to follow the Ivy Bell Gaming social media account, you can find us everywhere at Ivy Bell Destiny. Literally everywhere. Mastodon, Blue Skies, Threads, Twitter, Facebook, Discord.
You're so good. I'm
just everything.
All the places.
I don't know how you can do all of those.
I can't keep track. What do you need? What was it from The Office where Ryan created like the one social network that would publish to all the things? Is it woof.com?
Yeah, I think so.
We need that. Anyway, hey, thanks to all our wonderful guests for tuning in. Thank you all. Thanks for everybody for watching. We'll be back next Monday night from 7 or 8. Hopefully our little one isn't sick and Aaron can join us for the whole episode. But until next teaser, last thing. You can also find us this Saturday. Aaron and I will be casting the Lorcana OP Tour tournament down at Houston, Texas. We'll be casting it all day, all 8 rounds, and then the finals the next day. So check out Pro Play Games Twitch, and you can follow us there. If you can't wait until next Monday to see us, you can find us this Saturday. So we're looking forward to that. Anyway, and with that, thanks everybody.